What up? So it's a few days after I removed the engine from the Integra itself, and right now what I'm working on is just pulling the transmission off so that I can begin pulling the head. Plus separating everything will make it easier to move around. Hopefully get the block on the engine stand. So yeah, that's the goal for today. I don't know how much I'm gonna get done because I only got a few hours. Did get some things done. I got transmission disconnected, valve cover is loose, ready for cam caps and to come off and cams to come out. And then of course start pulling head bolts on that so we can see the damage underneath and on the bottom end. Taking a guess right now that the rod or piston that is damaged is probably the number 4, which would be the closest to the oil cap. So my guess is this one. Why do I say that? Because I'm going off of the spark plugs, but I could be wrong. So I don't know for sure. I'm just gonna take a guess based on what I saw with the spark plugs. So we'll see. Hopefully come back tomorrow and get started up again. Get that head pulled so I can so I know where I stand with that block. Really more just my curiosity at this point. But yeah, we'll see where we're at tomorrow. What's going on? What's up, everybody? I am here. Start tearing the head off today. Hopefully, we'll get that done. No, I seriously want to see. That's a cool dad right there. You see that? I haven't been over here I'm not good at that, in 2 days, and he went ahead and threw it up on the stand for me. I much appreciate that, because that was task number 1. I literally just opened the garage door to find that. So Dad, thank you, I appreciate that. But yeah, man, it's finally today to tear the head off and find out what's going on under there. Hope everybody's got their cylinder vote ready. Like I said, I'm voting cylinder number 4, which is closest to the oil cap here. I think this is my culprit. Again, just my guess based off of the spark plugs. So let's get started. Alright, so I took a little pause for a second to kind of show you what I did differently this time that I didn't do properly on this head. So according to the Haynes manual, yes, I busted out my handy dandy Haynes manual because yeah, last time I totally screwed this up. Something was written online and it wasn't written in the correct order, and I think that's what caused me to strip that second one, that and my own clumsiness of using an impact. So I've already loosened it with the breaker bar. I didn't have anybody here to film me while I did it. Obviously you need 2 hands to do that. But yeah, this is the sequence here. 10, and yes, I am left-handed, you know, and you do a quarter turn at a time. with the breaker bar. This is 9. Make sure it's in there good. Really got to make sure it's in there. 9. Again, these are easy because I broke them with the breaker bar. 8, just like. For those of you who experience Honda heads, I didn't need to tell you that, but for anybody else who's gonna, disassemble a head, just give you that heads up. That's the torque sequence according to Haynes manual, and that's what worked for me. It does take a little muscle. I used a 14mm socket. If I can get that to zoom. Yeah, I used a 14. I've seen 9/16 on some places, but when I used the 9/16, it had a lot more play, and I wasn't down with any play. You have to be spot on with this. So I even like shine a light in there to make sure I wasn't stripping my head bolts, because yeah, that's just not what you just don't want to do. That this is not the place to strip bolts, ladies and gentlemen. This is not where you want to do that. It's just not good. Don't do it. All right, so before I pull it off, just wanted to just like a quick tip for anybody else who's doing this for the first time. Yes, this is my first engine head removal, so it's my first time. But yeah, one quick tip that I spotted in my Haynes manual. Remember, folks, do not pry on the mating surface if your block is like stuck here. You don't want to pry in that area anywhere around there. I know it's tempting. You want to tap it with a hammer, everything. But you just don't want to jack up the mating surface of your head, especially if you plan on reusing that head. So thankfully, my head was not seized on, and actually from this end, like you can see, it comes right off. So thank you, God. Thank you, God. If y'all don't believe in God for anything else, believe in God for that, because trust me, I'm sure some people have had it stuck on and had hell of a time with it. So yep, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the head off. Let's see what we got underneath. You can see that metal down in there? Yeah, those little shards of metal. That ain't good. Dirty, dirty, dirty metal. Even a little bit of scarring on the cylinder wall. Not too bad. That's something that could easily be buffed out, I'm sure. But, yeah. I'm pretty sure cylinder number 4 is our culprit. So you want to get the number 4 cylinder up to top dead center. Ew. See all that? That's metal. Schmetal. Yep, that's the one. That's the one. Ooh. Yeah, like that's intake manifold exhaust. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, get that. Those are gross, dude. Those are disgusting. Doesn't look like it's a broken valve. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, is my non-automotive brother, younger brother. Notice the A on the side of his neck. Those of you who are either U of A fans or from the state of Arizona.
You know.
That's where we grew up.
You go to school? You stay in school.
Okay, so wrapping it up for the night. Kind of satisfied with the fact that it got to pull the head off. I mean, motor's salvageable. Looks great inside, considering the noise you were hearing. You just had to, some components. However, I still want to stick with my original plan, and just save one of these 2 blocks for boost. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with the other LS motor for now. Just be a spare engine. I'll tuck somewhere and kind of figure something out over time, right? Like, no harm in having 3 engines, as long as you got the space. So yeah, next would be to pull the oil pan bottom end and start disconnecting things off the crank so that we can pull that piston out and actually see the bottom of it. Sorry about that. And just, I really want to see like the bottom end. Nice. Sneak peek. A sneak peek. Yeah.
Pressure regulator. Serious business.
Nice shiny blue. Nice color.
eBay special. Everybody uses them, but they're good.
I'm sure most of you know what that is. That's Dad's personal E30 back there. It's his project. It's been sitting in storage for a little while. Guess has a fuel pressure regulator problem, so he's putting that adjustable FPR on now, and hopefully more on that one in the future. Trying to get him to buy some coilovers for it, so hopefully soon we'll see something come out of that. He's had it for a while, so I think he's ready to do something with it pretty soon. So anyway, back to this. So today's the day. Pull the pan and take a look at the crank and the rod, or connecting rod, and just everything else going on down there, and see if we can find out what's going on with that number 4 piston. Let's go. You can see the movement. Okay, so an interesting development. So this is the number 4, right? This was my guess here, and it's pretty tight. I mean, it's locked in there pretty good. I don't see any any like unacceptable play, not in any direction. Like, it's a tad bit left and right, but it's Pops was showing me that it's the play, this way, that's the biggest problem, or an around motion like that, if you can kind of feel it moving in that. But that one's really not bad at all, and this one's kind of in the same category, number 1. So that led me to be like, all right, so what's the problem? Well, I brought 2 and 3 up, and as you see, 3 here is like 1 and 4. There's like nothing. This one's like the tightest. However, right here, number 2. See if you can see that. There we go. That's the rod knock right there. I know you guys probably can't see that, or maybe you can. And bring it further, all the way to the bottom. This one's got the most play. I'm sure you can hear that. So, looks like I was wrong. It's actually cylinder number 2. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off, see if the crank's okay. But yeah, I think it's actually cylinder number 2. That's the rod knock. Alright, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The official ruling is a spun bearing, number 2 cylinder. If this will focus, there we go. You can see the scarring in there from the spun bearing, and this is the actual spun bearing here. Yeah, this guy, let's see, that's it. So let's get it out. That bearing is trashed. Trashed. I think the crank might be okay though, which is the most important part. But here's the other half of the bearing, the other bearing, I should say. Try not to lose it. Yeah, there you go. Garbage. Looking at the top of the engine, so number 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Well, let me just show you how wrong I was. These are the bearings for cylinder number 4. They are the best of the bearings that I had. So this is not the rod and cylinder that was knocking. Here's number 3. See all that scarring? The coating is actually coming off. That one was ready to go. Number 2, obviously, if you haven't noticed, these are pounded flat. Look at the difference. See how much more metal there is, I mean, these things are literally like a razor blade on the edge. They are chewed up, beat up, flattened. This one here is actually got a thickness to it. So, and then cylinder 1 is pretty nasty too. So, all in all, cylinder 4 was actually in the best condition out of the 4 of them. Go figure. So, turns out the grittiness on the top was actually just carbon. I mean, I thought I saw some metal shards in there. I was looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, but I'm pretty sure it was just carbon. I didn't see any reason for there to be metal in there. There was still some scarring in the cylinder, so that's interesting. But yeah, cylinder number 4 was actually in the best condition. What does it all mean? Well, as those bearings, well, the job of the bearings primarily is they sit inside of this this assembly here. This is for the people who don't know much about engines. These bearings sit inside of here, and their job is to be a buffer between this rod and the journals on the crankshaft. So it rides in between here and here. All right. This is why oil is important. There's a lot of friction in there. This is why that coating was wearing off, which doesn't surprise me. My engine was always low on oil. I was burning oil through the valve seals in the up in the cylinder head. But basically what happens is you get friction. That friction rubs off that coating, and then not only just the rubbing and the friction, but there's a pounding motion as this moves, you know, kind of like this on that crankshaft, like when I was rotating it, as you can see. That's happening at thousands of RPMs, especially if you rev the crap out of your engine like I do. And so that motion is, you know, stop and go like this. There's a pounding force that causes that. That's why the number 2 cylinder was the one that showed that damage where, again, this literally just got pounded flat. It got pounded flat. So what happens is once they're pounded so flat, they're not going to stay in place. There's a little lip on it that locks it in place. Once, I mean, it's pounded out, pounded flat, that instead of sitting where it's supposed to, with oil lubricating it, being that buffer, it spins inside of the connecting rod. And that, once it spins like that, that tolerance that you're supposed to have, which is, you know, very minute, is kind of diminished. It widens out, and you get this, the rod knock, like you saw when I was moving it. So that's bad news. That kind of rubbing, that kind of pounding takes a beating on the piston. Actually, you can kind of see, hopefully you can see it, see the scuffing that's kind of been done there. Let's see, right there, it's on both sides. You can see where it's been making more contact than it should be. So crank looks okay. I'm sure like it easily could be machined. It's not like it's got like big scars in it, but definitely, yeah, that had to come out. It had to go. It wasn't going to get any better. As you saw, the other aside from number 2, 3 and 1 were getting ready to go as well. So the whole thing would have just been a big pile of junk if I'd kept driving it. Okay, so that concludes this video. Motor's out, we know what the problem is, so now the next step is to do things like clean up the chassis, probably buy some things that I'll need to get the car running, the chassis itself rolling the way it should, and saving money for the B20 VTEC, trying to get those parts together. By the way, the GSR head didn't really come through, so trying to find another lead on one. But yeah, hey, there's still plenty of work to be done. Plus, I got some homies I'll hopefully introduce you to and some of the things that they're up to. Catch you in the next one. Stay tuned. What? No, I don't.
I gotta work midnight.
Look at that. He's all military. He's wearing his watch upside down. That's all military.
No, that's a tactical thing we do. It's a tactical thing, all right. It's not.
So this is the